What was the question again?
What does the word God mean to you?
So I guess the word God means to me that that there is something out there.
I like that. Very good. When's the last time you had sex?
Like with myself or with another person?
Another person.
Last time I had sex with another person would have been right before I put her on an airplane. Let's see, in, I guess May? The beginning of May.
Wow.
Beginning of May. Yeah, so it's been a while. I'm not a player. I wish I was a player at times.
Yeah,
but not
you
really.
strike me as one.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people think that, but yeah, it's not me.
If you could change one thing about this podcast, what would it be?
Right at this moment, I think you asked that at the wrong time because that's the third question. But so I would say, I would say instead that, okay, what I would change about the podcast is that I just realized that I made a mistake and that I did have sex with somebody else since the one I told you about.
Oh.
And it slipped my mind. So I don't know what you want to read into that. You know, you could read into all sorts of things. Like if sex slips your mind, why did it slip your mind?
You're listening to Artist with Brian. I'm Brian here with
Emmett McKinley.
Emmett is a writer, director, and producer of film. He's also currently writing his first novel.
Yep.
First segment of the show, Emmett, is called Trump or Obama. It's where I read a quote by one of the two men, and you have to guess who said it.
Okay, good.
Do you understand the rules of the game?
Yes, I do.
Okay, quote 1. Liberal Hollywood is racist at the highest level.
I would think that would be Trump. Is that a yes? Did I win?
Yeah, the bell is you got it right. I have a few of these. Common sense things can be done that are good for everyone.
Yeah, it sounds like something Obama would say.
Final answer?
Wait, say it again.
Common sense things can be done that are good for everyone.
Common sense things that are done that can be good for everyone. Yeah, Obama.
Trump said that one.
Really?
Yeah. Toni Morrison was a national treasure.
Now I'm just guessing. I was gonna say Obama.
I might stop with that. But you got that one right. You're 2 out of 3. Is that right? That's pretty good.
Two out of 3.
You got 2 more.
Okay.
In America, we don't fear the future. We embrace it.
I'm so intrigued. Hold still. I'm going to say this because I think that I'm right. Not that I've listened to that many speeches, but I feel like that's something that Obama would say.
You got it right, man.
Wow.
They do get harder, too. Last one.
Yeah.
Guns should not be placed in the hands of mentally ill or deranged people.
Sounds like something that Trump would say.
You got it right. Yeah, that's all from Twitter, from basically the last 2 weeks. That's how that segment is designed. All right. Let's talk a little bit about current events, local news. This segment's called Local Fair Global Flair. It's about Santa Fe happenings that might be interesting to the internet. Do you read the Reporter, Emmett?
Occasionally.
Okay. Well, their cover page last week was called Draining the Food Swamp.
Okay.
Referring to the South Side. Do you know what a food desert is?
What
Have you ever heard that?
A food desert is probably a place where there's no good food.
That's right. It's both low-income residents that are 1 mile or more away from a grocery store.
Okay.
So the South Side is a food desert, but it's also a food swamp. Have you heard that term?
I have not.
That's where a ratio of healthy to unhealthy eating options is 4 to 1 or greater.
Okay.
So there's like 4 fast food restaurants for every grocery store.
On the south side. And
instance.
when you say the south side, just since we're talking about Santa Fe,
Yeah.
from the south side would be, to me, from St. Michael's
That's right.
on down,
Yeah,
correct?
That's right. That's how Santa Fe reported did their study. I thought it was a really good article. And then they also said south of Zaffarano, it gets even worse. So just some stats here, like north of St. Michael's, there's 26 fast food restaurants. South of St. Mike's, there's 49.
Right.
Roughly the same number of grocery stores, 7 north, 8 south. But there's 3 Allsups north, 8 Allsups south.
Right.
$1 store north, $3 store south.
Right. And why do you think that is?
Oh, man. It's hard to say. I don't know. I've been pondering this. Like, when I read the article, it seemed obvious that fast food restaurants proliferate because people shop there.
But but also, like up in the more northern, northeastern part of Santa Fe, which would be closer to the plaza, land becomes way more expensive.
Oh,
so,
wow. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, no. So you have to remember that it becomes it just economically from a fast food perspective, very less people more tourists are going to be downtown. Yes, more rich people will be downtown who eat at Whole Foods and whatever, but the further you get out, the cheaper the land becomes. So it's easier to build something that then, I think, in the long run, if you put in this thing that makes you money, this restaurant, gas station, whatever, it's a temporary idea. It's maybe, when I say temporary, like 15, 20 years, there is probably their idea. Then they turn around, they can demolish it, sell the land for way more because all growth is going that direction anyhow.
Yeah, the article did say that. That's the fastest growing part of Santa Fe.
Yeah, of course, because there's no other where you can go.
That's right. It's kind of surprising but obvious when you realize it. Let's see. So, the south of Zaffarano, here's what's crazy, is there's 3 grocery stores, but they're Walmart, Target, and Sprouts. So it's really just Sprouts south of Zaffarano. And the article's saying that there's low-income people that don't have cars, and they're more than a mile away from those stores. So that's the food swamp that they're trying to paint for the public.
But what they did not mention, because I live down on that direction, right?
Yeah.
When I'm in town. And so there are also, because there's a lot of south of the border Hispanics that live on that side of town. Why? Because it's a cheaper area inside of town to live in, correct? So, like next to where I do my groceries, where I do my laundry, there are multiple, and actually in a lot of areas around on that area, down on the south side, there are lots of what you would call Mexican grocery stores, right?
Yeah, tiendas. So the reporter does identify that.
And those people, I feel, are not those people in a derogatory way, but just in who they are and their culture and everything. I feel like most of them would shop there. So on some levels, there are definitely more grocery stores down in that area than what you just said. But they're just these little small, but actually better. Like if you go inside them, I mean, they have meat counters, they have, all of the same thing, but it just is more for a Spanish-speaking Latin American kind of group of people, in my opinion.
And also, if it's a smaller footprint, the store is less square footage, you can have more of them, and they'll be in walking distance. Yes. So that's sort of like the emerging solution or the current state of things.
I think so. I mean, of course.
In 2015, some local officials had a movement called the Food Oasis, trying to get a grocery store down there, and it failed. And this seems like part of why. Is there's mixed opinions on whether it's a problem at all or how you would solve it. Like what's the solution, Emmett?
I think that the solution is to just leave it alone.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
for talking that out. On to the next segment. It's called Fill in the Last Word of the First Sentence of the Great American Novel.
Okay, fill in the last word of the first sentence
of the Great American Novel. So I'm going to read the first sentence of a Great American Novel. I'll leave the last word blank. And you can win by one of two ways. You can say the last word, or you can name the novel.
Oh, wait. Okay, this actually, so hold still. This is an actual novel, Great American Novel.
Yeah.
And this is the first sentence.
Absolutely. The opening sentence of the book.
Great American Novel.
Yep. Yeah. I actually just pulled these from Wikipedia's Great American Novel list.
Wow. Now you're going to put me really on the spot. So.
Yeah, you are on the spot. This game was designed for you. This might be too difficult, but we'll see what happens. So I got 3. First one is Call Me Blank. Call me blank.
Bud.
Call Me Ishmael. Moby Dick by Herman Melville, published 1851.
Have not read it.
I've read the first few sentences off the shelf at the library. It blew me away, but then it got kind of tiresome.
Okay, so that was not one that I've read.
That's all right. Second novel. When he was nearly 13, my brother Jem got his arm badly broken at the blank.
It's a sawmill.
To Kill a Mockingbird. It's at the elbow. When he was nearly 13, my brother Jem got his arm badly broken at the elbow. First sentence of To Kill a Mockingbird, published 1960 by Harper Lee.
Haven't read it, but I did watch the movie.
All right, let's see if you can get 1 out of 3.
Okay. Nah.
Yeah. Good movie. I just saw the movie last week.
Give me a good one.
Yeah. I first met Dean not long after my wife and I split blank.
Up.
Woo! Yeah, you got it right, man. Do you know the book?
No.
On the Road by Jack Kerouac, 1957.
Haven't read it.
Thanks for sticking with us out there. If you're enjoying the show, tell a friend. We're going to move on to a game called Free Association, classic Free Association. I'm going to read 11 words, and you just give me your first gut response. We'll just have a few seconds on each, okay?
All right.
Or do you say just one other word that comes to mind, right? Yeah, let's do it that way. I'll say a word, you say the first word that comes to mind. Do you understand the rules of the game?
I do.
Beer.
Fun.
Yoga.
Stretching.
Whole Foods.
I can't remember the name who owns them. Verizon, not Verizon. It's
Amazon.
Amazon.
Very good. Cottonwood.
Trees.
Screenwriter.
Artist.
David Foster Wallace.
Don't know who he is.
Holistic.
Holistic. I can't think of a word for holistic. Spiritual? I don't know.
Benefactor.
Patron.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Jerry Maguire.
Tarantino.
Overstated.
Producer.
Creator.
All right. That was fun. I'm sure the listeners will love that game. Next segment, the start of it all. I want you to take me back to when you first thought of yourself as an artist, first started dedicating more time to creative endeavors. So tell me, what's the first cohesive, coherent project you presented to the world?
So, I was in Billings, Montana, and I was still married and had a family. And I'd been pursuing this dream of being a cutting horse trainer, and I had a barn leased. It was an indoor arena and everything else. And out of the blue, and this is what happens in life a lot of times, I had a number of horses, outside horses, being trained, and for whatever reason, loss of money on one client's part, different things, I had like 6 clients come to me and say, hey, we got to take our horses out of training. And that basically like ruined me as a horse trainer. Like I could not afford to pay, my dream of being a horse trainer. I couldn't afford to pay for this place any longer. And so I had to go back to doing masonry. And I'm a good mason. At that point, I'm a great mason now. But at that point, I mean, I had done some pretty nice work, nothing overly creative or very artistic. And so I let the lease on my indoor arena go, and I put out an ad and started like calling contractors and whatever. I got a call from a contractor in Red Lodge, Montana. I was in Billings. I get a call from a contractor in Red Lodge, Montana, and he tells me, he goes, hey, would you be interested in a stone job? And I said, yeah, of course. I mean, I was hungry. I have 5 kids to feed. I'm fucking, and a wife. I'm like trying to pay. I'm doing whatever. And he said, well, it's a river rock job. I had none of the river rock, those kind of round looking rocks that they get out of the river that I'd ever seen. The work had never looked pretty. It's like these big round rocks with a bunch of mortar kind of holding them in place.
Okay.
And so I was not intrigued. So I was like, I don't know. I really don't like to do river rock. And he said, well, it's dry stack. Now, dry stack means there's no mortar showing in the joints. And so I was very intrigued at that point because I thought, I mean, how do you make these slippery rocks that are all round?
Yeah, I'm thinking that right now.
Stick together.
And at that point, you had never seen it?
I had never seen it done. I had no idea. And so I was like, but he said, well, drive out to the bank in Absaroka, Montana, and take a look at it and tell me if you can do that. And so my wife and I, at the time I was married, we drove out and I looked at this bank and it was amazing work. I mean, it was super tight. There was no joints, and I was intrigued, and I looked at how they did it and took a bunch of photos, and I knew that I could do it. And so I contacted the contractor and said, yes, I can do that.
Is there a secret other than time and care? It's like a mosaic, and you're making sure everything supports the next stone.
Totally.
That's it.
That's totally it. Here is the other secret. From a stonemaker's or stoneworker's perspective, it's what I was taught a long time ago. It's something I've learned, but also something that I've used throughout a lot of the other projects that I've done, filmmaking, whatever else. There are moments when you're working. There was moments when after I got that job, and it was a lot. It was a 30-foot tall fireplace. It was a 4-foot wainscot around this whole house. It's right down on the river, and I would be working, and you can't really cut river rock. It's granite, and it's smooth, and you can cut it with a big saw, like a really big saw. You can cut it, but to shape it with just like a little grinder, it doesn't work. I mean, you cannot do it. It's a waste of time. So you basically have to find every stone that fits. I mean, it has to fit. That rock has to fit in that particular place. Yeah. And there were times when I'd be working and I'd come to a spot and I would hit It's like writer's block.
Yeah.
You'd stop and you'd be like, okay, I can't find any rock here that fits.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember my stepdad, Ted, who I apprenticed with years before. I did a 4-year apprenticeship. And he told me, I remember his words coming into my head saying, Emmett, when you're doing rock work or you're doing any work like this, and you come to a spot where you stop and you're just like spinning your wheels, you're not, he said, rather than doing that like in this one spot and trying to make something happen, he said, just walk 10 feet down the wall and start in another spot.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it will free you up.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Right. And then later on, you'll come back, you'll be walking back, and you'll go, oh, my God, there's the rock.
And that's what lights the flame for 3 years later to make a full-length feature film.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we'll get more in-depth on Serpent in the Bottle in a couple minutes. Let's play one more game called Pick the Best Picture.
Okay.
It's Oscar-winning Best Picture films.
Okay.
So I'm going to play 30 seconds of audio from the film and just listen. Even if you know it, let the listeners play along. And then when we're done, you'll guess what movie that is. You ready?
Good. Yep.
You lived here all your life?
This is my wife's father's place originally.
You married into it?
We lived in Temple, Texas for many years. Raised a family there in Temple. We come out here about 4 years ago.
You married into it?
That's the way you want to put it.
Well, I don't have some way to put it. That's the way it is.
Do you know?
No Country for Old Men.
You got it, man.
No,
Cormac McCarthy.
I read that book.
Yeah.
It was given to me because I'm a huge fan of Cormac McCarthy.
Uh-huh.
And it was given to me way before it was made into a film. And when I read it, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be a movie.
Mm.
And then I was blown away by how it was done. It was so well done. They did such a great job.
Directed and written by Joel and Ethan Coen.
Sure.
I mean, that's a power trinity.
Oh,
Cormac
right?
McCarthy and those brothers.
Oh, totally.
It's from 2007. They spent $25 million making it. It made $171 million in the box office.
Right.
You ready for the next movie?
I am.
Hello, Jamal.
I'm guessing that isn't your brother. This is?
My name is Latika.
Okay, Latika. You want to hear the question one more time? And let's be clear about this. 20 million rupees right on your answer. You have 30 seconds.
Latika!
Jamal, please read out the question to Latika now.
I'm going to say Inglourious Bastards.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, could you tell it was a game show scene?
No.
It was tough with the sound mixing.
Yeah.
It's from 2008, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Simon Beaufoy.
Yep, I saw it.
Yeah.
I thought that the first 2/3 of the movie was fabulous, or the first half. I liked it better when the boys were children. I didn't like it. I thought at times it felt then a little bit contrived, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. It's surprisingly cheap, $15 million to make, and that made $377 million at the box office. Yeah, big time movie. This is the third and final clip. Here we go.
I was 11, and I was preyed upon by Father David Hawley in Worcester. And I don't mean prayed for, I mean preyed upon. Are any of you Catholic?
I was raised Catholic. Now I go to my wife's Presbyterian church.
I'm lapsed. I go to church with my grandmother sometimes.
It's safe to say we were all raised Catholic, but now.
Not so much. Okay. Well, let me tell you. When you're a poor kid from a poor...
What do you think?
I'm thinking that it's that movie with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Can you name the title?
I'm working on that.
Okay.
It's Michael Keaton. It's what's his name? Who's the Hulk?
Oh, I hope I didn't give you a bad clue.
No, you're fine. I know it's called. It's about the newspaper.
Oh yeah, you're hot on the trail.
Am I right?
You are right.
I just cannot think of the
from
name
2015.
right now. Yes, no, I know. I saw it. I've seen it a number of times. It's
directed by Tom McCarthy, written by Josh Singer and Tom McCarthy. It's a one-word title.
Remind me. I know I'm right. I know it's with
You
Michael
are.
Keaton. I
Yeah.
know it's got.
It's about the Catholic Church.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's the Boston
it's-
Globe's
it's-
investigation of the Catholic Church.
Remind me of the name.
Spotlight.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a tough name.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing, man. That was fun. We've reached the main segment of our show. So we're going to talk about your movie that you made, Serpent in the Bottle. It's an hour and 56 minutes long. Is that available to anybody listening? Will
No.
it be available? Not available.
So I mean, you watched the director's cut.
I saw it. That's the hour 56.
Yeah, that's
okay.
yeah. So the issue with me on this movie at this moment, it's not just this moment. It has been throughout the whole making of the whole film. And just as a little side note to all future filmmakers in the world, just because a producer says that they're going to produce your film doesn't mean that they're going to produce your film.
Mm.
And there's a lot of shit that goes on and backstabbing that goes on when that happens.
Are you trying to take a stand here? Do you have some...
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I feel like
want the world to know something?
Yeah, my art on that in that film in particular. So just to give a tiny, I'll keep this as short as possible. After hitchhiking to Idaho, after being cut off from my producers at the beginning, saying that, because they were under investigation by the FCC, or FCC, whoever the
FTC,
the Trade Commission, FTC. We were supposed to shoot in March of 2011, and then I was told, oh, well, we don't have any more money, so that's it. After I'd already started pre-production, whatever. And then I said, I was not going to let it die. So I said, well, all right, well, fuck you. I'm going to continue to do this. So I hitchhiked all the way to Idaho, scouted locations with no money, found all the things, and kept it going because I felt like if I let it go, it would die completely. Mm-hmm. The whole time, my executive producer, who I'm just going to say her name is CA, right?
Okay.
So CA kept telling me, no. But her dad, AA, kept telling me on the phone, keep going, Emmett, keep going. We're behind you 100%. I was like, all right. He was like, we will get the money for you. I promise. We will get you the money.
Huh.
So I went to Idaho. I scouted locations. I found locations and started building sets. Money trickled in a little bit at a time. Every time I'd go spend money on lumber, every time I'd spend money on anything. Meanwhile, all of this time, 10 months it took me for me to build sets. Meanwhile, living in barns with no electricity, no running water, dating married bartenders just so I could get drinks, at the local bar or whatever, because it was like there was nothing to do out there. And then after all of that was done and the sets were finally built, I got the final go-ahead from CA. After she'd pulled out, been like, no, I can't fucking do it. Don't do anything. She's like, go ahead and do it. We finally got the money. I'm so happy that you built the sets. And I'd also gotten all of my actors on board and everything else and blah, 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
So we get set to shoot. We have an 18-day shoot. 10 days into the shoot, AA and CA pull out of the whole shoot completely, say they're removing all their money from the shoot, and they walk away, leaving me and my whole production and the crew and all of the camera people and everybody else sitting in Idaho in hotel rooms with the hotel saying, we're kicking you all out tomorrow if you don't have this much money. Thank God there was some sort of a miracle investor that came along and gave us a bridge loan so we could keep going, and we got it shot. What was the question again?
So let's go to the clay pot.
Clay pot.
These are fan questions.
It's like clay pool.
What's that?
Is that like clay pool?
What's clay pool?
I don't know. Les Pool? Clay Plow?
Oh,
Les
no,
Paul?
it's a pot that I made at Santa Fe Clay when I took a class there. It's weighty. It has gravity.
Nice.
And so I'm just shuffling up to our listeners questions that weren't submitted this time. Just questions I seeded the bucket with. I think we have one actual fan question in there.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm going to read you. I'm just going to pull randomly at the end of the show.
All right. I'm intrigued.
Emmett, what podcasts are you listening to right now?
I've never listened to a podcast in my life.
That's right. Wow. Welcome to the show.
Right? I'm so excited. This is like the newest thing in the world.
Did you ever run away from home?
I never did run away from home.
Okay. Me neither.
And I used to tell my children, if you ever run away from home and you come home, you won't get fed.
Wow. I've heard people say they want their kids to run away from home because it shows like some sort of independent thinking. Yeah, it is funny.
I always figured that they would just like the cops are going to bring you back. So whatever
Wow,
you're doing.
You get lost in Montana, though, in the wilderness. Here's one. Have you ever spotted George R.R. Martin in town?
I have.
You have? What? Tell me about it.
When I was bartending at Meow Wolf,
Okay.
he came in one time. I remember he came in one time and walked around with his little hat and sat out in the front, and that was it. And everybody behind the bar was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's George R.R. Martin."
Oh. So even the employees were shocked. I was going to say that's probably a good place to run into him since he's a benefactor of Meow Wolf.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But
He is the benefactor of Meow Wolf. Yeah.
But that was a rare instance. Everyone was excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't think it happened all the time. That's the only time I've ever seen him. But from what I've heard, he has lived here for a long time.
Yeah.
In a neighborhood here in Santa Fe that, for a long time. And I don't know. I've also heard that he just kind of lives in the same house that he lived in a long time ago, which is crazy to me since he's probably worth like $7 billion or something now after Game of Thrones. So maybe none of that's true. Maybe they have a robot of him in the windows, so that people can drive by and go, "Oh my God, there's George in his cap."
Yeah.
But really he lives in like, Norway or
or
on
Iceland.
Mars. I mean, he could afford to go to Mars now. I mean, he could live anywhere he wants to.
Yeah.
Easily.
Santa Fe is just a nice place to be, if you want to hide a bit. I haven't seen him, so he's doing a good job if his goal is to hide. I've seen just a couple lookalikes.
A couple lookalikes?
That's right. Here's another one. Favorite Santa Fe bar?
Favorite Santa Fe bar? Oh. I'm a pretty big fan of the Cowgirl. I like the bar itself. It's kind of like one of those old school, like it's been around. They've been around a long time. I also like the Crowbar quite a bit. And the reason I like the Crowbar is because to me it's like the only it's kind of a nice, like, seedy, like dirty bar with a pool table. And I like pool tables.
Yeah,
so
they have the table right in the middle.
They have the table right in the middle.
Point. A little funky with
it's a
pool
little
cues.
small place, and the cues aren't great. But what fucking dive bar has great cues anyhow? So I mean, to me, it's like it really epitomizes the idea of a dive bar in Santa Fe. Dive bars in Santa Fe they don't really exist too much.
Cool.
I mean, Evangelos, I guess.
Yeah.
But
man, you've named 3 now, but your favorites are Crowbar and Cowgirl. So all our local listeners and tourists, those are Emmett's picks. Let's do one more final fan question. If you want to play this game as a listener, submit your fan question on Instagram, Artist with Brian. That's with spelled out, all one word. Leave it in a comment, send me a DM. You'll get in the bucket and listen to see if you get pulled out on a future episode. Emmett, last fan question.
Yep.
Favorite president?
Favorite president? Oh, God. You don't really want me to say this.
Well, I want you to say what you're comfortable saying.
Favorite president? I mean, I was I would have been younger then, even actually almost too young to vote, and barely too young to vote. But looking back on things that I've seen and who I am politically, I would say that my very favorite president up until this point would have been Ronald Reagan. And I feel like I think Joe Rogan just posted one of the coolest freaking clips I'd ever seen in my life, that I had never seen this yet, and it was 2 weeks after President Reagan had been shot, right, by John Hinckley Jr. And he was in Berlin speaking as the walls, just before the walls were about to be torn down. He had, helped with the summit to make that happen, to finally allow East and West Berlin to come together. That's a pretty monumental moment in all of history. And while he's giving this speech, a balloon is popped, which sounded like a rifle shot. And he's in the middle of the speech when you hear the balloon is popped. And he stops for 1 second. I swear to God. That's how, on some levels, how brilliant he was. Because it was barely a pause in the middle of the speech. And he goes, "Missed me."
What's that? Oh, fuck.
L-E-Y.
Let's just do it again. Follow Emmett on Instagram at @EDaltonMcKinley. EDaltonMcKinley. And review this podcast on iTunes. Emmett, I'm trying to get to 100 iTunes reviews and ratings by New Year's.
Yes, sir.
So everyone listening to this, if you like the show, if you enjoyed meeting Emmett, rate the show, do a written review. That helps the most. Subscribe so you can hear our next guests. Brilliant. Thank you, Emmett. Thank you, everybody, for listening. See you next time.
Thank you.